Oh, hey folks, how you doing? Jeremy Harrell here, LFA TV. I was just reading up here on Fatty 15. Sounds kind of funny, right? It's not though. Fatty 15 is a new supplement that we are taking here at LFA TV that I'm personally taking myself that has a nutrient in it called C15. And what is C15? Well, ladies and gentlemen, we can thank our aquatic friends, the dolphins, for science figuring this out. The first breakthrough in 90 years about what the proper amount of C15 in your body can do. Every one of us wants peace. Every one of us wants to experience joy and a long life with our kids and our grandkids sitting in a setting like you see behind me. Well, there's one way that you can do that outside of eating right, having a good diet, exercising, saying your prayers, eating your vitamins, but also taking supplements that our bodies just don't produce anymore because we're all breaking down, especially as we get older. Fatty 15 has a nutrient called C15, and what this does is it, first of all, repairs your old damaged cells and then kind of slows down the aging process of your cells, giving you longevity of life. And 72% of people taking Fatty 15 see massive benefits within 16 weeks. Some earlier, some later. But those benefits are absolutely amazing, ladies and gentlemen. Most people said their liver and heart health feels much better. A lot of people said that their skin is changing. They feel like they're healthier. Their metabolic system changes. And ladies and gentlemen, it's also vegan friendly. Now, Fatty 15 has 3 times the cellular benefits as any omega-3 or fish oil. Omega-3 and fish oil also can go bad after a while. By replenishing our cells with this C15 nutrient that I'm talking about in here, Fatty 15 effectively repairs cells and restores our long-term health. Now, I can get you a 15% off a 90-day subscription right now by going to fatty15.com/LFA, promo code LFA. That's fatty15.com/LFA, promo code LFA. And ladies and gentlemen, despite the name, it's not going to make you a fatty. It's actually going to give you something that you've been wanting for a long time, to feel younger again. Who doesn't want that? Fatty15.com/LFA, code LFA. Check it out now. Thank you guys so very much. Have a wonderful day.
Sorry about that, guys. Live TV, these sorts of things happen. My name is Kevin Smith. Thank you all so much for tuning in to Loud Majority Live here on rumble.com/LFA TV. Sorry about that, everybody. In the words of Bill O'Reilly, F it, we'll do it live. We'll do it live, guys. Do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button. Share the video out all over the place. We are rocking, we are rolling here at the 1 p.m. hour on rumble.com/LFA TV. So, the Summer of Love 2.0 has begun. It has begun, everybody, with radical Antifa members taking over the University of Washington last night. My friend Cam Higbee was down there getting absolutely incredible footage. They set things on fire. They barricaded themselves into the school, and many of the cops didn't really do a damn thing about it, which is something we've seen across these Antifa riots over the last several years. Also, Donald Trump implements a new rule to boot people out and pay them to do so. This comes as Gavin Newsom actually has the stones, has the grease in his hair, actually decides what he's going to ask for a tax credit from the federal government for the Olympics and the World Cup. I don't know where he gets the stones for all of that. Before we get started, guys, hit that thumbs up button, share the video out all over the place as we rock, as we roll. Let's pop this live chat up on the screen. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Obviously, we had a little tech problem. Start the show off. That doesn't happen every day. Hopefully, that won't happen again. I want to thank everybody who's tuning into LFA for the first time. Make sure you guys are hitting that. Make sure you guys are hitting that follow button as we rock all day long here on LFA TV. Jacked up, ready to go, guys. Chat, let me know if it's your first time watching. You guys know I like seeing all the new people in the chat, so let me know if you're watching. If it's your first time, I'll say hello to all the regulars. Angela, how are you? Sherry, what's happening? Bobby Driver, how are we doing? How are we doing? Good to see everybody in there as always. Good to see everybody. Natalie, how are you? I tell you what's happening. Our Mets are really screwing up. That's what's happening. That's what's happening. It's not good stuff. Peg, how are you? And Natalie, your first time as always. What's happening? What's happening, Darlene? All the good stuff. Let's dive right on in to all the news. So, as I say, Summer of Love. The Summer of Love 2.0 has begun, with Antifa militants, this from the Post-Millennial, taking over the University of Washington, occupying buildings, and, of course, setting things on fire, because it's not a left-wing protest unless things are being set on fire. Multiple fires were set by Antifa militants on the University of Washington campus in Seattle on Monday night. A group of Black Bloc Antifa occupied the interdisciplinary engineering building and blockaded the doors. The building opened just a few weeks ago, and the $100 million price tag was funded by private donors, taxpayers, and a federal grant. Some of the private donors were Amazon, T-Mobile, and Boeing. And, of course, this dramatically upset some of these radicals. Here was some of the footage from there. As they continue to set things ablaze, it is not new for Antifa to decide that they are going to take things upon themselves and set stuff on fire. The problem, of course, is that when the police do virtually nothing about it, not only does it embolden the criminals, but it sort of gives more power and more credence to people to do this everywhere else. And the part of this that I find so funny, the part of this that I find so entertaining, is just look at these buffoons. Look at these. Let's go back to the front. So right now, these Black Bloc protesters are standing outside of this building holding cut up plastic garbage cans as they decide to set things on fire. I mean, really, like, guys, you're not revolutionaries. You're LARPing. You're pretending to be, I don't know, Che Guevara. You're pretending to be Cesar Chavez. Naturally, they vandalize. Naturally, they destroy, because these people have nothing else to do. They have no creativity. They have no skills whatsoever. So they've got to burn things to the ground. And of course, naturally, they come draped in their Free Palestine flag, because nothing says religion of peace like having your supporters in America set things on fire. But of course, many will ask, where were the cops? Where were the cops doing something about it? Well, here they were. Alrighty, so we have a police presence. All right, very good. Very good stuff. We have a police presence. But what happened once they got there? what happened once the police actually showed up? Well, it turns out they decided that what they were going to do was they were going to negotiate with the people who had taken over the building because, that's a real good way to never get anything you want from these people. Luckily, they actually did break up this encampment. Not encampment, I shouldn't say, because that's not what it is. Naturally, they broke up the halls that were being barricaded in, but just the fact that they were able to do this in the first place is quite chilling. It's absolutely here were the cops actually dispersing some of these areas. Now, will we begin to get the Summer of Love 2.0? Obviously, we are here in the springtime, which if you are living here in the Northeast, it hasn't stopped raining in like a week. But will we get the Summer of Love? Will we get the radical protests? Will we get the students out taking over buildings again on behalf of a country that doesn't exist? That's right, Palestine. It's not a place. Not a place. Doesn't exist. Will we get that this year? More than likely, the radical left's anger and fury over Donald Trump. Combine that with the radical Palestinian movement led mostly by foreigners who should henceforth be deported from the country and not because of Israel. You don't get to come into this country and undermine the very country with its rules and think you get to stay. The Secretary of State has the authority to remove pretty much anybody they want. But what does this all lead to? Why do I show you the radical left burning down college campuses, beginning to set fires on college campuses? Why do I show you this? It's Seattle. Come on, guys. Grunge music, heroin. It's Seattle. It rains a lot. There are very depressed people there. The Mariners suck. Why do I show you guys this? Well, because study after study after study is showing that Donald Trump and the MAGA movement is doing something that most political entities have never done before. They're targeting people who traditionally don't vote. And that's very odd. Believe me, I've worked on a couple dozen political campaigns, and the one thing we know is that if you want to win, you go after the old people. You go after the old people. Why? Because old people vote. Except for now. What is bubbling up? Why are young people becoming more and more conservative? Why are they switching sides to the Republican Party in such vast numbers? And I'm going to tell you why. It's because the Republican Party is cool now. When I grew up in the Bill O'Reilly, Rush Limbaugh days, it seemed like Republicans hated everything that was fun. They hated music and they hated movies. They hated drugs. They hated everything. They hated sex. They hated you couldn't be hot. It seemed like they were real stiff about just about everything. But now the Republican Party, under this new MAGA movement, is beginning to be fun again. You have people going on the college campuses and actually engaging with young people about their concerns. Because if you're voting for the first time, if you voted for the first time in 2024, that would make you 18, 19 years old. That means that Donald Trump entered your political lexicon when you were 10 years old. It's all you've known. And what you knew was, you knew that you were lied to about COVID. You knew that you were lied to about Joe Biden and how good he was doing. You knew that you were lied to about the state of the economy by the people on TV, by the media, by the radical left Democrats, by people who will just go on TV and just make up the craziest crap imaginable, like Jasmine Crockett, who went on CNN. And I guess, I don't know where she's getting this one from, but apparently Republicans are trying to bring back child labor laws, trying to make poor kids go back to factory life. I don't know. I'm a pretty avid news consumer, but I must have missed that.
Would you advise any undocumented individual who comes to you that maybe they should take the money and go back to their home country? What's your take on it all?
I wouldn't trust this administration for anything. First of all, they are terrible about paying their bills, number one. Number two, most of those people that have come over, regardless of what this administration said, they came over because they were fleeing things such as the fact that they don't have the opportunity to work and earn a living, or they're fleeing political violence. And so what is $1,000 if you're going back to a place where you may lose your life? They risk their lives, many of them coming over here in the first place. That's number one. Number two, I want to see some numbers. Where in the heck did you just pull this number out of your back pocket saying that they're costing us approximately $100 million? I'm sorry, not $100 million, $1 million for each undocumented person. The only numbers that we have show that we receive approximately $100 billion in tax revenue from undocumented people, so much so that they decided that they want to go to the IRS and get the IRS to help them as they go and seek these people. You know why? Because they've been working and they've been doing the jobs that now they want to roll back child labor protections and make sure that poor children are the ones that are doing those jobs, because now we're going to have those vacancies, if we're going to have jobs left at all, as we continue to endure the grind of this failed experiment around this tariff war.
You know, I got to be honest. I feel like I say this a lot about Jasmine Crockett, but what the hell is she talking about? We're going to put poor kids back in factories? That's a new talking point. She had to make sure she squeezed that in there somehow. She had to make sure she wiggled that into the conversation. But what is, I don't know. Are we doing that? Did I miss that? I don't think so. Now, I want to be clear. There is a big difference, a huge difference, between allowing legally 14, 15, 16-year-olds to work who want to work. I remember being 14 years old and wanting to get out there, wanting to do the things that I want, wanting to, make a little bit of extra money, working at a summer camp, working part-time, delivering, working at a pizza place or something, minor jobs. I wanted to do that and was not allowed to because of ridiculous laws. That is way different than like 1920s having kids working in meatpacking factories like Upton Sinclair. That is a huge difference. If you're ambitious and you're young and you want to work and you want to get paid, that shouldn't be against the law. And I don't even know if they're doing that. But Jasmine Crockett decided to pull that right out of her weave and just throw it out there to the 87 people watching Jake Tapper's show. So I guess now it's true. I guess now we're bringing back child labor laws because the Democrats really don't have anything to talk about. They have completely alienated their entire base. So now what are they doing? They're just making things up. Like we're going to put kids back into factories. I don't know where she got that from. But you wonder why young people are moving so rapidly to the right? You wonder why they're looking for a better path forward? Have you met some of these Democrats? Have you seen them? They are some of the most miserable human beings on planet Earth. Whereas you contrast that to the other side and you see Charlie Kirk going on college campuses and actually having a good time. Here was Charlie Kirk talking about the rightward movement of America's youth.
Joining me now with more on why young voters stand with President Trump is Turning Point USA founder and president Charlie Kirk. Charlie, great to have you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Your reaction, and tell us, do you think young people are with Trump because they were the most hurt by teachers during COVID, by, against them. Tell us why you believe young people are standing with President Trump.
Well, that's absolutely true. And listening to that clip of former Vice President Kamala Harris, I can say we're finally unburdened by what has been. It feels good that we have new leadership in this country. But when I look at President Trump's phenomenal commencement address at the University of Alabama, I feel that it's necessary to contrast that with a completely different one that Joe Biden gave at Morehouse University when he was president. When President Trump gave the speech, it was about optimism and positivity, and you could do anything when you put your mind to it. When Joe Biden gave a commencement address, it was all about systemic racism and police brutality and how America has a terrible past. It was about oppression, and it was a very heavy and sad and negative speech. And you contrast those two together, and this is one of the main reasons why we are seeing the greatest generational realignment since Woodstock, where younger people are not going to the left like they did in the summer of 1969. No, they're defying all the experts, and they're going to the right. We are seeing the base of the Democrat Party evaporate. Democrats are bleeding the core constituency. Young people for so long have been the cornerstone of the American left. They've always been able to count on college campuses as their main source of energy for activism. Now, it's the main source of energy for the Republican Party and for President Trump, from the Yale Youth Poll, from the Harvard Youth Poll. And to your astute point, Maria, you're exactly right. 18 to 22-year-olds, these are the lockdown generation. They had prom graduation stolen from them. They had to wear masks unnecessarily. They were forced to get vaccines. They had many friends hurt themselves or kill themselves because of the lockdowns. They do not trust the experts. They get their information from places like TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, and they are now the most solid and loyal base of President Trump's ever-growing coalition.
Because they believe President Trump. They know he's telling the truth, and he's not afraid to call it out.
Exactly. That's exactly right. And they're tired of politicians that are so negative on America. They want a positive vision. Think about the negativity that they were formed in. What happens between the ages of 14 and 21 are the most predictive elements of how you view the world. They heard that the world was ending because of COVID, the world is ending because of systemic racism, or the world is ending because of climate change. Honestly, they're rejecting it. They want a positive future, and President Trump is delivering it.
They want a positive future. And you know what? Just the fact that the old boomer channel of Fox News is even having a guy like Charlie Kirk on shows the way the wheel is turning. This weekend, for example, I'm going to be on ABC Radio here in New York. ABC Radio is one of the most influential outlets for older people in America. The older, more boomer-ish outlets are beginning to see the podcast space right where we are right now as the new frontier. You want to have on somebody interesting, you have on a podcaster. Why? Because we've been able to break down that wall. We've been able to break down the wall of the Fourth Estate. The gatekeepers are no longer holding, and we are beginning to break through. New voices are beginning to break through, and that's why we're seeing a shift to the right in young people. It's the Wild West on the internet right now. It's the Wild West in terms of news content. And I'm happy to be at the forefront of it, and I'm happy that you guys are here too. Guys, do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button. Share the video out all over the place. We got big numbers today, and I'm liking every bit of it. Please do hit the thumbs up button. Oh, yeah, let's go. Let's keep going. Let's keep rocking and rolling here as we get moving, as we get grooving here, guys. Do me a favor, guys. Head on over to loudmajorityusa.com. That's loudmajorityusa.com. Sign up for the newsletter. Check out our shop, all the good stuff over here at the Loud Majority. You can get your Gulf of America hats, get your Make America Hot Again t-shirts, all the good stuff if you want, if you're into it, if you're a whiskey kind of guy, which I know I certainly am. You can pick up this beautiful Jack Daniels looking t-shirt. Obviously, it is not Jack Daniels. Where the hell is it here? It's somewhere on this page that I am currently wearing. Oh, yeah. Guys, all your hoodies, all your good stuff. Oh, we got bathing suits for the ladies. We got board shorts for the fellas getting ready for the summer. Guys, head on over to loudmajorityusa.com. That's loudmajorityusa.com. Sign up for the news. Oh, look at this thing. Look at it. Oh, that's out of stock. Never mind. We'll take that off after the show. Check out all the flags we've got. We've got a bunch of stuff on sale here for all of you guys. We really do appreciate all the support you guys give this show. Head on over to loudmajorityusa.com. That's loudmajorityusa.com. And use promo code RUMBLE to get 20% off everything on the website. That's promo code RUMBLE to get 20% off everything on the website. That's the best way to support this show. If you like the Jack Daniels looking t-shirt I got on right now, pick that up today. Available in all colors. So, what else does it mean? What else does it mean that young people are beginning to move rightward? Well, what it means is that you and I, each one of us, has got to take the mantle themselves. Before Steve Bannon went to prison, he liked to use the phrase, next man up. What are you willing to do? If you have young people, and since we have a big audience today, I want to make sure that I get this point across. If you have young people out there that are on college, that are in college, on college campuses, involved in their Turning Point USA chapter, involved in their college Republican chapter, I would love to come speak at one of your universities. I would love to go there and have some fun, man. Set up a table, say debate me right across it, and just interact with young people in order to bring them back into the movement. Show them that the Republican Party is a good time. Show them that it is okay to swing first. For too long, Republicans, conservatives, have been on the back foot. Democrats make a ridiculous claim, and we just backpedal. We backpedal. And we get further and further and further back. Not anymore. Not with this administration. Not with the people President Trump has put in his admin. Here's a clip just from today of Kristi Noem not allowing herself to be put on the back foot by some member of Congress you've never heard of before, who claimed that we are deporting children with cancer, which of course is not true. Here's Secretary Noem.
I'd like to now focus on U.S. citizens who were deported. In fact, 3 children so far, likely more children. One of those children with cancer who was deported without the medication necessary to address that child's cancer. Again, a U.S. citizen. The lawyers have said that they were not given, the family was not given an opportunity to make plans for the kids. And so they were deported, essentially, again, U.S. citizens. I have a question about the forms that ICE is supposed to utilize when engaging with parents who have children, the parents who are being deported, and the U.S. citizen children. One of those forms is ICE Form 71-078, or the Caregiver Designation at Arrest form. Were any of the individuals who were deported, who had U.S. citizen children deported with them, were they given an opportunity to sign that form?
When these, the specific cases that you're referencing with these children, it was the parents' choice to take their children with them.
Did ICE
Which it is the
follow
policy
through
of the
on
Trump
the policy?
administration to keep families together.
Ma'am, reclaiming my time. I told you at the top of this, ma'am, reclaiming my time. I said that the questions are really simple, yes or no. Was that form used in any of those cases?
I will get back to you on that specific form.
Perfect.
I don't know the number, but I do know these mothers went on the record.
The second form, ma'am, reclaiming my time. Ma'am, please, ma'am, reclaiming my time. I'd like you to avoid the filibuster so I can get to all my questions, please.
Answering your questions.
So the second ICE form that I'd like to ask.
One thing that really annoys me about these congressional hearings, and I want to be clear, Republicans do it, Democrats do it, they all do it. Reclaiming my time. It's not your time, sweetheart. It's the taxpayers' time. Okay? Man, I wish somebody would call me to testify in front of Congress. No one has ever said this before, but I would love to be subpoenaed to testify before Congress. It would be an absolute blank show. It would be hilarious. You want to turn this into a show? We'll make it into a show. And anytime you hear reclaiming my time, you can't ask somebody a question and then think that they're just not going to answer it. But Kristi Noem's not taking any of their crap. Not taking any of their crap whatsoever. So when this no-name congresswoman tries to pretend that we're deporting American citizen children with cancer, we aren't. We deported their mother, and they took their child with them, which I thought we weren't supposed to separate families at the border. That's what I was told during the first administration. I guess they must have forgotten about what they were complaining about like 2 seconds ago, but that seems to be the Democrat way. That seems to be the way of the Democrats. Forget what you were complaining about 2 minutes ago and move right on to the next topic. In much the same way as Democrats have now moved on from Kilmar Abuego Garcia. You guys remember him? You guys remember the Maryland dad? The Maryland dad who turned out to be a wife-beating, human trafficking MS-13 gang member? You remember that Maryland dad? Yeah, they've moved right on. So much so that when Pramila Jayapal, the most useless member of the squad, gets called out about it on MSNBC, she just moves on. Why? Because it turns out Democrats, as usual, have hitched their horse to the wrong wagon. They've understood that this isn't going to go well. Because it seems like every week, something new comes out about this Maryland dad that, people tend not to like. He with Pramila Jayapal just deflecting on Abuego Garcia.
On immigration and a whole number of other issues right now, are confused about their party's messaging. To go back to immigration, to hear that some members of the party are going to El Salvador trying to raise support while others are saying, this is not our issue, Trump wins on this, we'll be quiet on it. What's your message to people who are worried the Democrats still do not have their stuff together for this fight?
Well, I think that the core message is that Democrats are going to fight for working class and poor people across this country. And we're
working class and poor people. That wasn't the question.
Going to fight to give you the things you need to have a decent life, right? Affordable housing, a roof over your head, food on the table, education for your kids, retirement with dignity, healthcare, childcare. Those are the critical things that people need to thrive.
And for all the people who are not in politics, that's how you pivot. That's how you move away from, and look, brilliantly done. Moving away from a topic you do not want to talk about. And then just blabbering on with talking points about health care and decency for poor people and, a whole bunch of crap like that. That's how you pivot. Because if you don't pivot, you might run into a guy like Scott Jennings. And when you run into Scott Jennings, he usually goes for the jugular. And he gets it almost every time. I can't wait to call him Senator Jennings sooner rather than later. Before we get to that, guys, hit that thumbs up button. Share the video out all over the place as we are rocking, as we are rolling here at 1:37 Eastern Time on 1:37 on the East Coast. We're going to get to Scott Jennings in just a minute. Before we do that, Old Glory Bank.
When big banks decide who gets access to America's financial systems and who doesn't, who do you think gets left out? Middle Americans who proudly wave their pro-America values. Cancel culture in banking is corrosive. It limits your participation in a vibrant, free market economy. Fortunately, you can fight back. You now have the opportunity to invest in the bank that's investing in a fair American banking system, one based in freedom. Ownership in Old Glory Bank, the pro-America online bank, is here. Old Glory Bank is a full-service FDIC-insured bank that's the alternative to overreaching, un-American big banks. We stand for privacy, security, and liberty. We stand for freedom, family, faith, and the flag. We stand for all the values you stand for, and for the values big banks can't stand. So help keep banking in the hands of Main Street, not Wall Street. To invest in Old Glory Bank, go to oldglorybank.com.
Guys, support the people who are supporting and building out the parallel economy over at own.oldglorybank.com. That's own.oldglorybank.com. And you, too, can purchase part of a bank that is supporting good Christian values and the America First principles. Guys like John Rich, Larry Elder, Ben Carson, they're all involved in this. And on Friday's show, we're going to have the CEO of Old Glory Bank on, Mike Ring. Guys, before we get to Scott Jennings, Pam Bondi is holding a press conference right now. Let's throw it over to Attorney General Bondi.
The most significant victory in our nation's fight against fentanyl and drug trafficking to date. This multi-agency operation led by DEA with our local, state, tribal, and federal partners targeted one of the largest and most dangerous drug trafficking and foreign terrorist organizations in our country. The DEA seized 11.5 kilos of fentanyl, including an astounding approximately 3 million fentanyl pills, the largest seizure in our nation's history. These are the pills in the bags right there. The main bottom right, the head of this organization, Sinaloa organization, here in the country illegally, 6 of these guys and women here in the country illegally. His name is Alberto Salazar Amaya. He is the leader, and he was living in Salem, Oregon. With him, they got millions of dollars, cash, cars, but the drugs were in Albuquerque, Phoenix, and Utah. That's how insulated these drug dealer cartel leaders make themselves. This was an incredible operation, and that's why I wanted all of you here behind me. It took months and months of work, investigation, leading up to smaller buys, smaller cases, to get this massive amount of drugs and guns off our streets. $5 million approximately in cash, 35 kilos of methamphetamine, 35 kilos of meth. 7.5 kilos of cocaine, 4.5 kilos of heroin, 49 rifles and pistols, all shown in the pictures. And then, of course, the 3 million pills. These pills were stamped as oxycodone. Let that sink in. 3 million pills going on our streets, 3 million pills, the streets of our country, laced with fentanyl, labeled as oxycodone. And they were in all different strengths of fentanyl within them. This operation was made possible by over 55,000 hours of law enforcement investigation. And this is a really dangerous job that these DEA agents face every day, but they are getting very dangerous drugs off of our streets each day. They are flooding our cities with a weapon of mass destruction, fentanyl. And when we catch you, like all of these individuals, if convicted, we will put you behind bars, there will be no negotiating, and we will lock you up for as long as humanly possible. We will not negotiate with those who are killing our family members, including brothers, sisters, daughters, sons, parents, friends. Everyone in this room, I guarantee you, knows someone who has been afflicted with drug addiction, and many who have known someone who has lost a loved one because of this trash on our streets. The precursors are made in China. It was sent to Mexico and came right in our country. And again, 6 of these individuals were here illegally. That won't shock you. And we're running a massive, massive drug operation. This kind of success doesn't happen without extraordinary leadership. And I want to personally thank my friend, DEA Principal Deputy Administrator Rob Murphy, DEA El Paso.
So she's probably going to go around the horn thanking everybody there. I just wanted to make sure I threw it to her. 5 million pills. And look, I know a lot of people. A lot of people are a little upset with Pam Bondi and the amount she has done so far. Look, it's not easy work doing this stuff. And I've been trying to distill in people that 100 days in a job is, you're not gonna get the sorts of immediate successes that many of us would hope for. However, when it comes to these sorts of investigations, it really seems like it's a bit of a cascading effect. It's a snowball effect. The longer they're in, the more you're going to get. So I've been trying to urge everybody to remain calm, like Kevin Bacon in Ghostbusters. Everyone remain calm. It's going to take a little while, but I have faith in the people that President Trump has put forth. Guys, as we are rocking, as we are rolling here, because there is more stuff that I want to make sure I get to, I got to make fun of this Gavin Newsom thing, because this is one of the funniest things I've ever seen. Before we get to that, guys, head on over to LFATV.us. That's LFATV.us. That's your home base, your mothership, your landing pad for all things LFA TV related. Check out the LFA TV store. That is the best way to support this network and everything we've got going on over here. Also, as always, we really do appreciate your Rumble rants. We really do appreciate your Rumble rants and your super chats wherever you guys are doing it. The stars you give on Facebook, it means a lot to the network. That's how we keep the lights on over here, and we can't do it without your support. So head on over to LFATV.us or just consider throwing a Rumble rant up there. We really, really do appreciate it, guys. So, as I said, the best way to deal with these people is to go on offense, and not allow them to keep you on the back foot. And as I said before the Pam Bondi announcement that she just made, Scott Jennings has been giving the world a masterclass on how exactly to do that. And I'm happy that he's finally starting to say the quiet part out loud. That it turns out the uncomfortable truth that many people are choosing to ignore, choosing not to accept, is that actually every one of the people in this country illegally is actually a criminal. I know this shouldn't be hard for people to accept, but we've been real wishy-washy, I feel many of us have, in saying this very obvious but quiet part out loud, that if you break our laws to come into the country, you are by definition a criminal. And Scott Jennings really dropped the hammer on whoever the hell this guy is on CNN.
Do you believe that every immigrant here is the same? You can't believe that because they're not. They're not.
I do.
There's some good, there's some bad. There's some criminals that are not.
I believe everybody who's here illegally is here illegally. Not all are violent, but all are here illegally.
How do you differentiate if nobody gets a hearing, if you don't have due process? How do you distinguish one from the other? Well, what you're saying is every person that's here in this country is a criminal, is a gang member, should be thrown in jail.
Every person who's here illegally, is in fact a criminal. Some of them do come here and commit violent crimes and still aren't deported.
If you don't have a process?
Well, some have records and some don't.
But they still have constitutional rights.
They're all going away. So here's the deal. We've let 20 million something people into the country illegally. And now what a lot of folks want to do is use the court system to try to stop as much as possible the rapid deportation of illegal aliens from the country. What the president said in the interview was very clear. He was unsure on these deportation cases because of the unusual circumstances, but he was going to defer to his brilliant lawyers and said, quote, "We are going to follow what the Supreme Court says." There is no outrage here that's worth it. But we have been invaded by millions upon millions of people. And he was elected to get them out. He was elected to get them out. And what some people are proposing is a backlog system that will never allow us to go to get them out.
Get them out. Get them out. But more importantly, when dealing with these radical leftists, you got to keep them on the back foot. And you got to keep pressure on crappy Republicans. Because look, we still do have very, 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 very crappy Republicans out there, unfortunately. I wish that weren't the case, but it seems like something we're just going to have to deal with. And how do we deal with it? We do it by blowing up their phone lines. We do it by letting them know that we will not stand for this, that there will be primaries, that many of these people will face accountability for defying the America First agenda. And unfortunately, right now at the very top of that list would be Thom Tillis of North Carolina. If you would like, feel free to put his phone number in the chat and let everyone know that maybe you should call his office, because he has signaled that he will be voting against Ed Martin, who has been appointed by President Trump as the top D.C. federal prosecutor. This is not good, because he is not the only one who has done so. A key Republican senator, this from CNBC, a key Republican senator on Tuesday said that he would not support the controversial nomination of Ed Martin, President Trump's pick to be the U.S. attorney for the District of Columbia, dealing a potential fatal blow to Martin's chances of winning the Senate confirmation. Tillis said, "I have indicated to the White House that I would not support his nomination." Tillis said Martin's support for criminal defendants on January 6th is the reason why. That riot of blah, 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 January 6th, Kansas. With Tillis as a no vote, the best Martin could hope for is that the committee is a tie 11-11 with Republicans and Democrats evenly split. A tie vote would fail to report Martin out of committee and onward to the nomination of the full Senate. Senate Judiciary Chairman Chuck Grassley said on Monday night that he did not add Martin's nomination to the panel business meeting agenda, which signaled his chance of being approved were in peril. So Chuck Grassley obviously can't add someone's name to the full judiciary vote list if he thinks that that vote is not going to go through, which it seems that Thom Tillis, along with people outside of the committee, like Susan Collins, Mitch McConnell, who they have already signaled they will not be voting for Ed Martin because of his January 6th stuff. All he did was, support what we know to be true. Here was Thom Tillis saying just that.
He is, I don't believe he's being advanced to the markup. I met with Mr. Martin. He seems like a good man. Most of my concerns related to January 6th, and he built a compelling case on some of the 15-12 prosecutions that were probably heat of the moment bad decisions, but where we probably have a difference is I think anybody that breached the perimeter should have been in prison for some period of time. Whether it's 30 days or 3 years is debatable, but I have no tolerance for anybody who entered the building on January the 6th, and that's probably where most of the friction was.
I see. So he disagreed with you on that?
Well, no, I have to say that Mr. Martin did a good job of explaining how there were people that probably got caught up in it, but they made the stupid decision to come through a building that had been breached and that the police officers and others were saying stay away. So the difference wasn't that they should be charged, in my estimation, it's by how much. That's an argument I'm willing to have, but we have to be very, very clear that what happened on January the 6th was wrong. It wasn't, it was not prompted or created by other people to put those people in trouble. They made a stupid decision and they disgraced the United States by absolutely destroying the Capitol, and I can't have any patience for
it sounds like your concerns were not alleviated.
But let me be very clear, though. Mr. Martin did a good job of explaining the one area that I think he's probably right, that there were some people that were over-prosecuted. But there were some, 200 or 300 of them, that should have never gotten a pardon, and he agreed with that. But the disagreement there had more to do. If Mr. Martin were being put forth as a U.S. attorney for any district except the district where January 6th happened, the protest happened, I'd probably support him, but not in this district.
When you say he's not being advanced to the markup, was he operating?
Well, that's a good way to find yourself getting primaried. That's a real good way to find yourself getting primaried, Thom Tillis. And the calls for him to be primaried are growing by the day. They are absolutely growing by the day. And first off, his language there is absolutely absurd. I want to make it clear. Nobody destroyed the Capitol. They broke a window. Okay, fine. don't break a window. Destroyed the Capitol. The Weather Underground set off a bomb in the Capitol, and that woman remained free, Bernadine Dorn, for like 10 years. She's still free. She never faced justice. So save me your crocodile tears. But it seems as though Donald Trump's initial pick for this D.C. court judge will not be going through at the 11-11 decision. It's just not in the cards, and it's a shame. It really is, because I think Ed Martin would do a great job. Not only when it comes to over-prosecuting things like January 6th, but for supporting the president's agenda in the first place, as we continue to see lawfare being bounced left and right all over the country. But there's more stuff that I want to make sure that I get to today, because actually the FBI is going out of their way to describe a very troubling trend that is happening right now that I think everyone should be made aware of. Before we get to that, guys, do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button. Share the video out all over the place. I want to thank everybody for rocking and rolling with us all day here, rumble.com/LFATV. All the good stuff here all throughout the day. Make sure you guys keep it locked in for Will Johnson coming up. So there's a troubling trend happening right now, particularly with young people. And the FBI is doing everything they can to make people aware that this sort of thing is happening. But what all is happening? What is happening? I will leave that up to, I think this is good. Is this CBS This Morning? Yeah, it's CBS This Morning, guys. Check this out. This is absolutely terrifying.
The FBI is warning that this new network has a potential national security implication, but also in case after case, directly reaching into American homes, targeting teens and their families. Its name, 764.
Hello. I have placed 2 explosives inside of Rockville High School, okay? And if they fail to detonate, I'm just going to shoot every kid I see, okay?
This call was a hoax, but part of a series of nightmare threats terrorizing Vernon, Connecticut. Investigators determining the threats came from overseas, but with the help of a teenage girl living right in town.
He was doing these threats with her knowledge and with some of her input.
Both of them involved in a shadowy online global network called 764, which wants governments toppled and the world in chaos, but which also targets kids on social media and gaming platforms, befriending them before demanding violent and sexual content from them.
They will encourage them sometimes to commit suicide. They will encourage them to do cutting. They will encourage them to harm their pets.
They're using basically psychological warfare on children.
That's right. They gain the trust, and then they continue to build that trust to the point where they have power and the ability to blackmail the child, basically.
The girl thought the hoaxer was her boyfriend, and he convinced her to share pornography and create 764-related content, like this Barbie doll with the group's name written on its forehead.
It was very difficult to process. I wanted to scream, "Not my child."
ABC News agreed to alter the faces and voices of the parents of the teenage girl.
Before it started, she was a child who was on the honor roll. She had a lot of friends, and then slowly that started to change.
When the girl began to resist demands, her family says extortion and threats against her ramped up.
Do we consider her a victim or a participant? Depending on who you ask, the answer may be different.
So you sometimes have victims who then become subjects themselves because they start to go out and perpetrate acts on behalf of the individual who victimized them.
The FBI tells ABC News in an exclusive interview that it has more than 250 open investigations tied to the 764 network, reaching all 55 field offices across the nation. Nearly a dozen others have already been charged, including a young Arkansas man seen here being arrested on unrelated charges.
Man, this guy's got some weird stuff in his car, bro.
But now pleading guilty to plotting to murder a 14-year-old girl in a separate case when she stopped complying with his demands. Back in Connecticut, the parents of that teenage girl hoping that what happened to her family can be a cautionary tale for others.
If we can help just one family, then it's worth it.
Man, I think about kids these days and the stuff that they have to deal with, stuff that my generation just never had to go through. I feel bad for parents today being able to having to be able to navigate that sort of world. But we want to make sure we bring you guys all the updates on stuff like that, stuff you guys should be made aware of, stuff that you can look out for, stuff that you can keep your kids safe from. The amount of weirdos that are out there online, no punishment as far as I'm concerned would be suffice. But, maybe that's why it's a good thing that I'm not the one doling out said punishment. Guys, we got a couple minutes left. We're going to laugh at Gavin Newsom before we wrap up today. Once again, I want to thank everybody for rocking and rolling here with us today. Rumble.com/LFATV. Make sure if you're watching somewhere else, you guys go on over there. Subscribe to the page. We really do appreciate the page growing bigger and better every single day. So Gavin Newsom, we got about 30 seconds left. Gavin Newsom has said that he is planning on reaching out to the Trump administration for a $7.5 billion tax credit for Hollywood. This is hilarious. This is one of the fun. I got to be honest. I didn't know Gavin Newsom was a comedian, but he's really shocking me here. I didn't know he was so funny. I didn't know he had that sort of funny bug in his body. That Gavin Newsom thinks that the American taxpayer should be subsidizing Hollywood. But apparently he thinks that this is what's really going to win him the presidency. Good luck with that, Gavin Newsom. I don't think so. After President Trump announced his plan to tariff Hollywood on films made overseas, Governor Gavin Newsom said that he wanted to team up with President Trump and craft a $7.5 trillion tax credit to encourage U.S. production. California built the film industry, and we're ready to bring more jobs back home. I don't know, Gavin. Why don't you just lower your taxes, and then maybe people will make more movies in your state? I don't know. I don't think I'm going out on a limb here with that one. But apparently, I've got to teach Gavin Newsom how to govern, which I'm more than willing to do. I'm more than willing to teach Gavin Newsom exactly how that goes. Guys, Will Johnson's coming up next here on this network. I want to thank everybody so much for tuning in. Once again, head on over to LoudMajorityUSA.com. That's LoudMajorityUSA.com. Sign up for the newsletter. Check out our shop. That is the best way to support this program and everything we've got going on over here. Guys, keep it locked in for Will Johnson throughout the day. And all the other shows here on LFA TV. Until tomorrow, everybody, stay loud.